Joseph Bender is a person that's discovered the Creator's creation inside of himself and lives his life in joy and passion and follows his heart. As a child, I had a wonderful growing up experience living in California, creating things even back then. I was told by my high school counselor after taking my SAT score that I just didn't have what it took to make it through college, that perhaps I should look at a trade school, and if I tried real hard, maybe I would make it as a tradesman. And that's what the encouragement from the school system was. Basically, if you'll come over here and look at this equipment, the water comes in here. It goes through a 25 micron bag filter, basically getting the big little thing. A human hair is about 55 microns thick, so I'll give you a reference point. So at 25 microns, we get the big boulders, and then we run it through a quad of a material called KDF. It's a dissimilar metal, and it strips the water of the chlorine, the volatile organic chemicals, pesticides and herbicides. From there, we inject ozone into the water, which will kill the bacteria and oxidize the water the first time to bring out any of the pollutants into suspension. It'll cause about 17% of the pollutants to come into suspension. Then we run through a contact tank, allowing it time to let that oxygen do its work. I had a convenience store and a restaurant in East Texas, and I was driving home one day in a East Texas rainstorm. The truck broke down, and I'm tromping down the road, this muddy road in the middle of nowhere, with rain going sideways, and I say, "God, why are you doing this to me?" You know, when a tornado touched down in a field, and I'm basically out in the middle of nowhere. And so I realized the seriousness of my situation, and I found a tree that I could put my arms in and hold against as this tornado was coming closer and closer. And as it got real close, I went into that hyper-awareness, you know, that right before you're about to die, hypersensitivity, where everything started going in slow motion. And the water coming off this tornado was sweet, and there was electrical fields happening inside. And in that moment, I realized, wow, this is how God renews the earth. This is where the unique technology is. Basically, this column here is a large tornado maker, and water enters in tangentially through it and begins to spin, and then we accelerate through using precise math and fluid dynamic relationships, creating greater shearing, faster and faster spin until it's at a very dynamic moment. At that dynamic moment, we take oxygen and we cryogenically freeze it to minus 40 degrees and run it into our ozone plasma generator. This makes lattices of oxygen, higher species of oxygen, through using resonant field technology, high voltage field discharge at a certain frequency rate, all in a very chilled environment so that the species won't break apart. I have a vast array of interests and hobbies. One thing with the creative process, you're constantly looking for stimulus and input. So I still do performing arts as an enjoyment. Put together a routine. I do dance, different performing arts. I haven't done magic shows in a long time. But I also, Einstein said every scientist should be a bricklayer. And what he meant by that is that whenever you have a problem that you're trying to solve, you're trying to contemplate, if you can do some kind of task that is relatively automatic, like laying bricks, you can just, you get in a routine with it. That allows your mind, that activity with your body allows your mind to begin to really work on the problem. And so, in my case, I create very small bricks that I carve, and I build whole entire cities in miniature scale as one of my hobbies that allows me to give my mind free time to probe these deeper problems and solutions that I'm looking for, and create a beautiful artistic outcome as a result. The critics are there. Matter of fact, I found that I'm on the quackwatch.com, so I'm very happy to have earned the title to be on Quackwatch. That means I'm saying something important enough to have the critics criticize. A standard chemist will tell us that you can't saturate oxygen above 100%, which in standard chemistry that makes sense. A biochemist will have a little more of a conversation with me. He understands things. I can speak into biochemistry. A biophysicist and a nuclear physicist, I can also carry on a conversation about my science because they've made discoveries within their field that have parallel or make sense. But your average AMA doctor and your average chemist will say this is a lot of foo-foo. And putting oxygen in water doesn't do anything. And in a sense, they have some facts that are correct, but they don't understand basic assumptions. What we've done is taken that understanding and created a water that is free from those negative memories, and then we've infused it with some very positive information domains. So this is what a lot of the scientists have discovered in their different researches. Some of them were in very mainstream academic circles, and they would go, I can't talk about it, but yeah, water really does what you're saying. We've proved it here. But they'll use terminology that the average layman wouldn't understand, and even the academics aren't going to challenge. But if you say water can retain information, water can have different states, it has structure, it can be clustered, that's like no right now in mainstream science. If I were to tell you, I think credentials do have a value. I have been one that I've had very few. I remember I was lecturing to a group of medical doctors, a room full of doctors, and I was talking about hydration, intercellular, extracellular hydration. And during the question and answer period, and these doctors were leaning forward and taking copious notes, and I could tell I had the whole audience just totally engaged. And one of the questions was, one of the doctors said, "You're Dr. Bender, you have been talking, are you a biophysicist or a biochemist, because you've been talking in both of those fields, or do you have 2 PhDs?" And I said, I have a high school education and 2 years of college. And there was, when I made that solution to a problem and knew that this would help an individual, that brought me, like I say, that's that core driving motivators. If I can serve people through my creativity, I feel complete within myself. I feel whole as a human being.